What's going on out there, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome on in to the Sports Buffoons Chiefs pregame Week 3 preseason show here today. Tanner, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad. I mean, we got our Chiefs game, last of the preseason here, about to kick off in about 40 minutes. So I know for me personally, I'm excited to kind of get it over with in a way because once this thing's done with, then we can start focusing on Arizona in Week 1 coming up on September 11th.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing. Is now we get finally after this game, we get to go to cut day, figure out who's on the roster, who's not, and then we start week one. We start week one prep.
Right, Week 1, and I think for the most part, this team at this point has 80 players on the roster. We saw Derek Gore go on IR this past week, and we saw
Or Bodkins.
obviously Lucas Nyang as well put on the PUP list due to his knee injury, which he seems like he always has a knee injury, so
Yeah.
that wasn't too much of a surprise. Yeah, I saw Bodkins there. He's rooting for the Packers to get a Week 3 preseason win. I see.
He's just trying to get some positive, dude, out of this offseason.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of young receivers to watch tonight, so I mean that's one thing to watch. I've heard that Aaron Rodgers and Mister his new receiver is it Dubs? He's the one? He's going out to lunch with.
Yeah,
he's going out to lunch with Dubs now, I guess these days. So they've been hanging out for a while. We'll see how that relationship continues to grow.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers needs something there. I can tell you that much. He needs somebody to connect to outside of Randall Cobb and the Lizard King.
Well, I mean, yeah, thinking about that team, I mean, obviously you have Old Man Cobb, you have injury-prone Sammy Watkins, and Allen Lazard, who obviously, as we know, doesn't have wonderful hands by any means. I think that this season is going to be the rookies standing out as far as the Packers go. So I like Christian Watson quite a bit. I think he's going to fit in well with what Rodgers likes, and then so far, everything's been a good thing to hear from Dubs at this point. So
yeah, so we'll have to exactly see what happens there. So, but let's focus on the Chiefs.
Exactly. All right, so Chiefs wise, obviously the cut down day is going to be coming up here after this game, after this weekend, and they got to cut. Let's see, is it 27 players now? Is that how many they're going to have left to get down? Whatever 80 minus 53 would be, Tanner. So if we can do some quick math at that point, then we can add up 27. But so
first off, you're asking math after a work day. Good luck at that.
Well, I think we obviously know the core of the roster. We know who's going to be making the team. My prediction of Josh Gordon being cut this past week did not come true. So obviously this is not going to be a guy that we see making this team at this point. I think Justin Watson solidified as your WR5. I think Darius Fountain still has a chance to make the team as your WR6. It's going to be someone that plays on special teams no matter what. So that part of the offense or special teams and team in general is pretty much locked and loaded. What I want to see today, though, more than anything else, is something we have not seen yet in this preseason for Kansas City, and that is getting the running game going. It has been awful. They're averaging barely over 1 yard per carry in preseason, and obviously that's not going to happen throughout the regular season, but still, we need some kind of glimmer of hope here. And Tanner, do you see any potential chance tonight that Ronald Jones, Jerick McKinnon even, or I don't know, just anybody does anything?
I'd say if anybody gets it rolling, it's going to be McKinnon. He had that one great pass last week and didn't really get any running time right there. But I think McKinnon's probably going to see a lot of work today in the big thing. And I mean, all these guys have a chance to make the team if they keep 4 running backs. I don't see what's his name, Davis Prince or whatever it is. Wrong screen. What's his name? Davis Fleet, whatever. I don't see him making the team. So Jones has a chance still, and they actually released Derek Gore today on an injury settlement. So there's an IR spot open too on that going into play with him being gone. So I think Clyde we're safe on. I think they might try to figure out who they want as a number 2. That includes Isaiah. So there's a lot to watch here in the running back room. Not necessarily for making the team, but necessarily who's going to be the impact for the guy after Clyde.
Yeah, because when it comes down to me, I want to see Isaiah Pacheco get 10 to 15 carries tonight because as much as we've talked him up and he's had good hype in the training camp, gone out there, especially in a receiving game, seemed to be making more plays in that aspect than he has running between the tackles. I want to see him find a hole and hit it and be able to take this thing, 15, 20 yards. we've not been able to see this 4.37 speed yet put on the field. And that's a frustrating thing. I don't want Niall Davis reincarnated again. That's not what we're looking to see here. And I mentioned that last week about the vision aspect that I want to see Pacheco improve on. And I think he has potential to be the RB2 on this offense because, first of all, McKinnon's in his 30s now, and he has an injury history. Ronald Jones, for some reason, just has kind of forgotten how to play football, I guess, after rushing for almost 1,000 yards 2 years ago. So it's like, okay, here we have this rookie here that has a chance that if something happens to Clyde, as it has every other year so far, he could be our starting running back in like week 6. I mean, we need to see some kind of glimmer of hope at some point here in this preseason, and not just training camp hype. So that's what I'm expecting to see tonight, and what I'm looking forward to keeping an eye on is just some push on the run game and seeing if one of these running backs can finally make a gain longer than 3 yards, for God's sakes.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Running back is a position to watch on offense this game. Tight ends, we're not too worried about. Blake Bell might be out for the year, but you still got 3 serviceable guys right there. Maybe blocking might be affected with Bell out, but again, Travis Kelce could do that. Same with Noah Gray. So I'm not overly concerned with the tight end position. Wide receivers, we kind of know what we got. You kind of got your 5 to 6 guys out there that you already know is going to make the team almost. So that includes Watson and Fountain at 5 and 6. So that'd be leaving Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, those guys off the board for the Chiefs. So, and then of course, offensive line is the offensive line. I'm not overly concerned there either to watch at. So really your offense to watch today is we focus on the running game and the running backs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we already know at this point the Chiefs have great starters, but the depth is an issue without a doubt when it comes to the offensive line. Let's just hope that nothing goes wrong. Obviously, that's always the main thing you look at when preseason is rolling on. Is you never want something catastrophic to happen to anybody. But one other guy switching over to the other side of the ball real quick. I want to see him go 3 for 3, and I'm talking about George Karlaftis. He's had now 2 sacks in his first 2 games. I want to see him get out there again, play about 20 to 25 snaps, and get his sack number 3 for preseason, get 1 in each game so far. I think that'd be awesome to see because I like the guy's motor. I mean, that's one thing whenever the Chiefs drafted George Karlaftis, and I wasn't a big fan of that pick, I didn't realize as a fan what kind of a mentality he had. I saw the production on paper, and obviously he didn't have terrific production compared to like my guy Jermaine Johnson did at Florida State. What Karlaftis brings, though, is somebody who's going to have high energy and willing to work, willing to learn at all times. And working with a healthy Frank Clark right now has been awesome for him because I think this guy is going to end up if he puts in this work like he's doing right now, end up being a absolute steal at the back end of the first round where the Chiefs got him. So looking forward to watching him too.
Yeah, he should have plenty of opportunity with Dunlap being out too. Being on that line. Obviously, Chris Jones probably isn't going to play, if at all, very much. Frank Clark, same way. So there's been a lot of chances for these young guys to be able to get out there and show, Karlaftis again. I think Saunders is my other guy. I want to see more out of him this week and see what, have a last-minute push to make this team. That defensive tackle spot is deep this year, and we're going to lose some guys that we shouldn't leave. Saunders could be a part of that. As a guy that can be impactful when he's on the field, but who has been, injured, banged up his first couple of years. So that's going to be something else to watch on that line. And then maybe even guys like Kendo and Dana coming into play. Again, guys that could be on the chopping block after this week.
Yeah, I honestly, in a lot of ways, I feel like Joshua Kendo is never really going to get it. I could see him being a cut here coming up here shortly this week. I do think Mike Dana does have a place on this roster. Obviously, he's filled in the last couple of years and done a decent job. He's not going to be your superior pass rusher by any means, but he's not also going to be worthless either. I mean, he's got a purpose on this team, I think. Whereas with Kendo, I feel like you just kind of have this, athletic-looking specimen who hasn't quite figured out how to play football yet, and I don't know that he ever will. But I do like Kalen Saunders quite a bit. Speaking of athletic defensive linemen, I think that Kalen Saunders now going into this, he's also 2 for 2. Had a sack in game 1 and in game 2. And right now battling in there, honestly, if he can steal some snaps from Derek Nottie this season, That wouldn't surprise me at all because I think this guy maybe was kind of a late bloomer, and this is his chance to really come in there and create pressure because he does something that the other guys on this defensive tackle spot don't do. Danny Shelton does not rush the passer. Derek Nottie does not rush the passer. But Kalen Saunders absolutely can rush the
He
passer
does.
next to Chris Jones in a lot of packages. So I would love to see some more of that be put into play this season. So definitely count me in on Kalen Saunders being a part of this team. So as far as linebackers, Tanner, obviously you guys know my Leo Chenal love and all that. So I'm excited to see him play once again tonight because I don't know what the Chiefs' plans are yet for Leo Chenal. I think he's a better player than what you're going to get out of Elijah Lee, but that doesn't mean that the team thinks that he's ready as far as
Correct.
stepping in and starting right away. It might be a ramp up period with Leo for the part of this season, or a situational part with Leo Chenal as well. Whereas if you're trying to make a stop, it's 3rd and 1, and you're assuming it's going to be a run play. I can see the Chiefs bringing in Leo for a situation like that. So let's see how he plays out today too.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you're watching for is that same spot next to Nick Bolton. And a guy like Leo Chenal could steal that starting spot there. Probably won't just because he's so young and still getting used to that coverage as well. We've seen him already on the downhill. He looks phenomenal like he's used to. I think the coaching staff might be a little worried about his coverage skills yet, still to improve on. So, but I mean, that could – let's just say Leo comes out, dominates, shows he can, cover and everything like that. He could take the Elijah Lee spot week 1. And this is something to watch on the linebacking spot. Outside of that same spot, we're not worried about Willie Gay. We're not worried about anybody else on that line. So it's truly watching the Elijah Lee and Leo Chenal show tonight in the linebacking spot.
Yeah, so how do you feel today about the corners, Tanner? Obviously, we saw a lot of Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson last week as well, going up against these young Green Bay rookies that they've accumulated now at this point. We're going to be seeing a lot of that because I don't even think you're going to be seeing Randall Cobb or Alan Lazard on the field, and probably definitely not a Sammy Watkins out there because if he even sniffs the turf, it's probably going to be a broken ankle of some kind.
No, it's just a hammy, dude. It's just it
could be a hammy. You never know. He just needs to hydrate, whatever. But so going up against these guys, you're going to see rookie on rookie throughout part of this beginning of this game, I think. Williams, I like both these corners because they're both big guys. Joshua Williams is 6'2", Jalen Watson is 6'3", somewhere in that range. So I want this to end up becoming a Brandon Flowers, Brandon Carr situation where Trent McDuffie is your Brandon Flowers, and then who's going to be the Brandon Carr, the late round pick that ends up standing out and becoming a productive part of this defense. So I know you like Jalen Watson. So what are your thoughts on watching him tonight?
I honestly think it comes down to who makes for a cornerback, at least, who makes the final cut. And that's going to be between Joshua Williams and Boodle. I like Williams way better than Boodle, of course. I think Jalen Watson makes it. I think he's made enough plays, made enough proof that he can be effective the last 2 games. So I think it really comes down to Joshua Williams and Boodle. And honestly, it's probably more favored of Williams just because he's been more outstanding there for during camp as well. But we haven't really seen it fully happen in a game yet. And now it's a good chance to do it against some, similar young guys in the play and to happen. So especially with Rashad Fenton out today, who pulled his groin or had a groin injury. I don't think he pulled it. He just had a groin injury. So Rashad Fenton's out today. He won't even play. So that's another more playing time possibly for Joshua Williams to come into play. I want to see what we saw in training camp from Joshua Williams today versus what we've seen in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and I like what Williams is going to provide to the team overall. So I'm not at all discouraged with him at all. I just think, with cornerbacks, it's one of those things, give him some time, and he's got all the physical attributes you want, and as long as he got the head on the shoulders and the right work ethic, then things are going to work out just fine. So that's not a concern at all for me. So, kickoff here starting up in about 25 minutes. Go ahead.
I was going to mention one thing here. A threat to both Joshua Williams and DiCaprio Boodle is also in the safety position for special teams with Deion Bush and also Zane Anderson, who Reed and Coach Tubes really likes a lot, is Zane Anderson. So if Zane has a really good outing, that could put both of those positions into a possible cut situation for that. So you got to kind of keep an eye out for that. Just because he's performs okay in the corner spot. Remember, this guy has to play special teams, and if Coach Tubes and Coach Reed says, well, it ain't good looking. So that's something to watch for as well.
I'm gonna call it now. DiCaprio Boodle does not make the team for that reason alone, and for some reason, Andy Reid likes his BYU guys, so Zane Anderson will be making the roster once again.
Yeah, I kind of thinking the same thing. What about Chris Lamons? Lamons?
Yeah, Chris has a chance because he can play both positions. Is the thing.
Yeah,
he's played corner and safety so far. Right.
Yeah, that's another guy to watch.
Also, this is going to be, I think, actually his third or fourth season with the team now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw him make a play last week, ended up getting an interception towards the end of the game. I think he's got a great shot to make this roster as well. So they're obviously, to keep him around for this long, they like something about him. It's not a Garrett Dieter situation where we know he's never going to have a chance. The team really likes something about him. So I could see him making it just because of the versatility as well, because he can play either safety or corner, and he knows the defense. Been with Spagnuolo obviously since 2019.
Yeah. All right. So who's your pregame all-star? Who's going to shine today?
Oh boy, this has been pretty rough so far. The pregame
we have not been good.
has been difficult to predict so far. I think I'm not going to go on offense here because I don't know how that's going to play out today or what's going to happen with some of the players. I don't know how many reps we're even going to see out of like Justin Watson, just because I think his job is pretty solidified today.
It was already locked.
I actually think I'm going to go on the defensive side, and we actually I'm going to say we have Joshua Williams is the MVP of this game and locks down those rookies over there.
Gotcha. Mine's going to be Shane Buechele. I think he takes the game tonight and runs with it and says to the coaching staff, essentially, you need to keep me as a 3 and not put me on the practice squad. You can't run with 2 QBs. You need to put me as a 3 and keep me on this team. So I think that's what happens tonight is with Shane. He's just going to come out and do it. Josh Gordon might lead the team in targets again tonight too. So that's something to watch for. But I'm going to go Shane as my guy.
All right. We'll be back obviously for post games. So those of you out there listening, follow along when the game's over. Come back, check in with us before you go to bed, and we'll be breaking down some of the things we saw. Yeah,
we're breaking down the things we saw, and we might give our early predictions for cuts too. So, I mean, third preseason game's done with. So, all right, guys, check us out here after the game, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right, I'll see you.